If you're just working very passively just for the paycheck and not grabbing these fens, you are basically missing out on most of the gains that you can get from your internship. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share 5 most important tips I've learned from my internship in the past year. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself so that you understand the background I've come from. I'm a recent graduate from Imperial College London, having studied biomedical science with business management, and I've majored in neuroscience and mental health. When I started my last year at Imperial studying business management, I also started an internship at a mental health care company in London. It was a startup when I joined in August 2019, but I would say now they have grown out of that stage. I've started my internship as a 3-month contract to start with, but actually ended up extending it 3 times. And it's actually my last week of internship next week before I start my master's degree at King's College studying health technologies. I thought it was a really good time for me to share the 5 core tips I've learned from my internship over the past year. The aim of this video is to basically provide you with supportive information so that you can make the most of your internship and deliver bigger impact during your internship. So let's get started. Tip number 1 is to be consistent. Consistency is a powerful way to earn trust and reputation. I'll actually share with you my practical tips that I used during my internship to stay consistent. First, practical tip is to mark your emails with a consistent name card and a closing. It's very likely that your company already has a name card format, so I would strongly recommend stick with that format, always use it, copy into emails, set it as a default setting. And also with the closing, I always keep it consistent. I just say kind regards to every single email. I think it's just super sweet, neat, and it's very easy to follow. Another practical tip for you to stay consistent is to make use of the regular reporting system. Keep your regular reporting to your manager very consistent in terms of format. I send a regular email to my manager every Monday updating on what work I've done in the last week, and I've always titled it as Brief of Internship Week something something. That way, if my manager wants to find what work I've done at what week, they can always go to their email, search those names in the inbox, and boom, there it is. Very easy for your manager. I also made the content format as consistent as much as possible. I also tried my best to send out this email every Monday at a very consistent time, for example, between 9 and 10 a.m., so that my manager is expecting that email and my manager knows exactly what format she will get it as. So this kind of blends into my next tip, which is to share your work summary with your manager. Email your manager on a weekly basis to keep them updated on what work you have done or what things you've delivered in the last week. I personally worked in multiple projects during my internship, so I also made it very easy for them to understand what work went into what projects. Keep it short and sweet, and I strongly recommend you use a bullet point format. If you have found something very interesting or striking in the previous week, please highlight that as a key finding in this email as well. There are 2 main reasons why I think you should do this. The first reason is so that your manager can easily understand what level of work you put in the last week so that you can get the recognition that you deserve. But the second point is so that it makes your life easier when it comes to your further job applications in the future, because you've already written down a summary of all your work every week in your emails in a consistent format. So all you have to do is copy and paste all those content, keep it somewhere safe, and use it for your future interviews, job applications, etc. It really makes a difference. Now, if the company you're working for doesn't have a formal way of reporting to your manager on a regular basis, maybe you can suggest to your manager that you would like to keep them updated of your work every Monday, and just make sure to highlight that they don't have to reply to the email and it's optional that they read the email as well. That way you can minimize the amount of burden that's going to put on your manager, and it's really unlikely that your manager will say no. Tip number 3 is a tip that I've learned the hard way, and that is to format your presentation slides last. If you're doing an internship, it's highly likely that you will come across some sort of making a presentation slide task. I made the mistake of trying to perfect every single slide before I finished all the content and end up spending so much time on formatting just to find out last minute that so much of the content has to be changed and redirected. It's time consuming, of course, but you should learn how to prioritize to make your content high of quality first, and then figure out a way to deliver that effectively and in a visually pleasing way. This will help you to be more efficient and deliver greater impact from your presentation slides. Tip number 4 is to use action titles in your presentation slides. And this was actually one of the most impactful feedback that I received during my internship. At the beginning of my internship, I would title my slides, for example, possible partnership opportunities, and then make the content below, for example, comparing 5 different companies that we might like to partner with. The problem with these types of titles is that it's very vague and it's very difficult to follow. The audience does not know what the conclusion is. So what is the best partnership opportunity? So rather than using these vague titles, now I would label that slide as company A could be the most appropriate partner. Now, looking at the title only lets you understand the striking message of that slide. The person could easily drift away during your presentation for like 10 seconds. They can come back, read the title, there is the conclusion, you understood the message. Try to analyze the content of that slide, summarize the finding into one sentence, and then use that as your action title. A really practical way of checking that your action titles make sense is to write them all down in a document and then read the titles through. And the titles by themselves should tell a story and deliver the conclusions that you wanted to deliver throughout your presentation. In my opinion, if you use action titles in your presentation slides, it will increase the chances of your audience having enjoyed your presentation. I personally never enjoyed a presentation that I did not understand. By using simple and striking action titles, you can basically deliver every core message that you need to deliver throughout the presentation, and the chances are the audience will be able to understand that key takeaway message, and they will have enjoyed it most likely, or at least tell you that they've enjoyed it. Tip number 5 is to protect your fen. From most of the internships, I personally think you can gain 4 things: money, feedback, experience, and network. Now, 3 of these last longer term than 1 of them. And yes, you are right. Feedback, experience, and network last way longer than the monetary compensation that you will receive. If you're just working very passively just for the paycheck and not grabbing these fens, you are basically missing out on most of the gains that you can get from your internship. So ask for feedback. It can really save our asses in the future. It can show your manager that you really put your thought through your work and you are really trying to improve and be better each time. If your manager isn't giving you regular feedback, just go ahead and ask for one. The manager might be just putting you up to test and trying to see whether you come for feedback or not. And try to experience as many divisions as you can. Now, I've never worked at a big company before, so in a big organization maybe this is really hard because it's less flexible. But if you're striving to get an internship at a smaller company or a startup, I strongly recommend put your foot down and express that you're interested in multiple divisions. For example, I suggested to my manager that I would love to be involved in more digital healthcare side of things, and that's how I actually found what I wanted to do in my career, and hence taking health technologies masters. If I haven't made it clear that I was eager to work in a different division and I was eager to experience new things, I would have missed out in this opportunity completely. So I really want to advise you to be open and be very proactive in gaining different types of experience during your internship as much as possible. Network and do it wisely. I don't mean to go around the whole company and try to make best friends with everyone. What I mean is to earn trust, be kind, be open, and be supportive. Build relationship with your manager. You should always be aware that every single person you meet during your internship is extremely valuable, and it will also make your work life so much better. Now, these were the 5 core tips that I shared with you today. Be consistent, share your work summary with your manager, format your presentation slides last, use action titles in your presentation slides, and protect your fen, which is feedback, experience, and network. I skipped on the obvious points that you can do to make your internship experience better. For example, delivering above and beyond your manager's expectations, trying to be really proactive, and delivering insight, not just output, adding critical thinking, communicating effectively, things like these. I'm sure you are very wise enough to figure this out on your own, and I really hope this video added some unique insight to your knowledge of how to go about your internship experience. I wish that you accelerate and do really well in your internship. You'll nail the experience absolutely, and I hope you just go and have fun. Let me know what your own tips are in the comments down below. I would love to hear them. And most importantly, thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with me here today, and I really look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you guys.